Kathy's here, Robin's here. Sue Squared is here. Fiona, John, Ellen is here. Brian Scott is here. Amy's here. Kemp is gonna come a little late. Dave's here. Laurel's here. Amy C is on Zoom. And Paul is here. And Mike McKenna, a visitor.
Visitor.
Where is he? He left already.
The honorable.
He ate and left. You know? Yeah. Everybody else.
That's all that matters.
He's not going anywhere.
He's trying to get the score for Friday, or Sunday's game.
Yeah.
Okay, could I have a motion for approval of the agenda? John, a second, Armand.
Excuse me, Sherry Kona is also on there.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You know her?
I briefly.
Sorry. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Approval of minutes, approval of the October 24th minutes. So move, Fiona. Is there a second?
October 21.
21, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just do that so I want to make sure people are.
A second.
Second,
I'm not on this one either. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I wasn't on. No, I can't second. 'cause I
Okay, you
wasn't
want to-
on.
I'll second.
okay, Armand. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. November 4th minutes?
Now, November 4th, I'm not on, but I was here.
Okay.
Sure, you're messing with us now, Kathy. All right.
Yeah, Kathy. Any other changes? Motion to approve with Kathy added. Kathy, second. Second, John. Discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay. Kemp is here. Okay, public participation. Public, Mike, you're public, anything? No.
Yeah,
He's
he
even-
does know.
Just came for sandwich.
Yeah,
I'm an interested observer.
nope, okay. First order of discussion and next step, review of the OSCR and R meeting, November 22nd. Before we get into that, we just want to go over a couple of things.
A little synopsis that all of this will tie one into the other. And all this information you're going to hear tonight, it's a lot of information to absorb, but Ed's got some handouts here. And of course, Slam will put it up on the web later on. But obviously, it's a very challenging situation we find ourselves in, very complex, but yet simple on how we got here. We're behind the eight ball with costs. Part of that is the increased cost of materials, but the real driving cost, the really driving measure is the fact that we have 137 more students.
That's 7 through 12.
7 through 12 as of October, and they're still coming. So based on state regs, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, each student requires 172 plus square feet of space. That's 23,659 square feet. Multiply that times the cost of building the building of $525 a foot. And just that one item is $12.5 million in the whole. Obviously, this building project was budgeted prior to COVID, prior to the spike in materials, prior to the influx of people into our community, 68, I believe, just from New York alone. And it's not over yet, especially if they keep naming these variants with spooky names. More people will come. So that dovetails into our conversation with the state. There's been a change of leadership at the state. It was a little bit more loosey-goosey, I kind of will do what I think is right as far from their leadership. But now, rightfully so, they have a guy in there who's by the books, and that's it. So we went to the state to plead our case, say, look, through no fault of the architects, through no fault of the building committee, through nobody's fault, we're $15 million in the hole. And the only way we could do it is to manipulate the building and the site in such a way that we don't want to, that we don't feel we're able to deliver the type of building that the town and the students and the teachers deserve. So we went to that meeting ready to beg for money. And Ed will tell you the result of that.
We also want to thank Gary's son, who we had 2 meetings with Noel, the commissioner, who's and it was great. The second meeting, you know, and now it's by the book. Everything before was loosey-goosey. You come in, you talk, boom, boom, fly by night. It's by the book. So what he said by the book is that if you change anything on the $159,575,000, you go back to us for a change for more money or whatever, you are in jeopardy of losing your 85%. Plus, if you go back to them, you have to start the process over, and that means a delay of at least a year or 2 years. So we said, no, we're going to stick with the $159,575,000 because we want to also start getting progress payments. If we made any changes, we still wouldn't get reimbursed for the 2.7 million that we have outstanding. So we told the commissioner, Sue L. wrote a note saying that we're sticking with the $159,575,000. Period. We will work, and we'll show you later, that we've been working on the project. And we also said, what happens if we're over on square footage? File a waiver, and we'll look at it because the commissioner looks at this. The commissioner of education looks at that, you know, with recommendations from the bureau. But the commissioner looks at that.
But to be clear, they'll give you the waiver,
Right.
but they won't give you the money to do the extra square footage. So,
Sorry, but he was very clear about, we would not get the 85%.
Correct.
Certainly understands that.
Oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't, we never think about it.
No,
right,
no,
no,
right.
we'll be back
We were
down
very
to
lucky.
62%,
Right. Or less.
or less, right?
So he was, you can't reauthorize the project. This is it. Got to stick with the 159 million project. And we told him about the space waiver, and we sent them that email, and we'll send them a letter, emailed letter signed by Sue. So
there's significant cuts to the project.
but also, again, just remember, it's 159,575,000. Remember, in the bond proposal, it was going to be 84 million from the state, 74 million from the city. Now with the 85%, it's 135 million from the state, 23 million, 24 million from the city. That doesn't include if we have any ineligible items. Even if you had $10 million of ineligible items, it only would be $33 million versus $74 million that they thought that they were going to have. So that's good for the taxpayers, and maybe we can look at that with.
Yes, we're hoping that through the help of some of our elected officials, and of course our mayor, that we could make the position and the statement that we're saving you $50 million. So you could save the $50 million and we could have a school that immediately doesn't really fit our needs. Now, we're talking about significant reductions of scope of work, such as the Board of Ed offices may not be built out. We may just leave the space empty so we can build it out in the future.
Right. Also, he said, you have in the project, the Board of Ed has to be in the project.
We can't take the Board
You
of Ed
can't
out
take
of the
the Board of
building.
Ed. If you take it out, you're going to lose money.
We're talking almost every single classroom, every single broom closet has been reduced in size. We're talking a large reduction in the work at athletic fields. So my point being is I would like to speak to the mayor and our elected officials and say, you know, we were asking you to chip in 74 million. Our best case scenario got you down to about 30 million. Can you be happy chipping in 45 million? And still saving the taxpayers 25 to 30 million dollars.
All right, just one thing, if you use the time value, the interest on that extra $40 million would bring it to about 75 million, almost $77 million.
Correct.
Right.
So we're saving the city 77.
Right.
Not we.
So if you do that, Mr. and Mrs. City, you're gonna get the top-notch facility complete the way it was designed. But you'll see tonight, and you'll hear from Slam, of some of the cuts that have been made, and they're tough. They're tough cuts, man. So we want it to be totally an open book and let everybody know exactly where we stand. There's no secrets, there's no finger pointing, there's no blaming. It's just the reality of 140 kids moving into town, along with some increases in materials. But the big driving factor is that the larger student population.
Increases the size of the school.
Correct. We can't leave the school the same size it was. We have to have 172.7 square feet for every kid that walks in that door. So this, you know, the state, we're in a tough position. We must, according to state regulations, have a bigger school, but the state will not give us the additional money to build. So that's where we're at.
And that's statutory. I mean,
Right,
right.
That's,
No, he's not being a hard guy. He's just,
And we think it's good that he's gonna do by the book, so we all know what it is. It's not somebody saying, well, we'll give you this, you know, on the slide and all that.
yeah, it was the wild, wild west before, and it, you know what? It did work to our advantage with the 85%.
Right.
We snuck that in, and maybe, who knows, maybe that guy was maybe that was the death knell for the guy, I don't know.
But as you remember, we met with the former one on the day he was fired, so,
yeah.
Read into that what you like.
right, yeah.
Right,
So we just want to, just one second. We just want to give you an overview that, you know, with the increase of population, the size of each kid that has to be there gives you 20-something thousand square feet more. 525 is going to give you $12 million more. So, Paul, you had a question?
Yeah, the 140 student increase, that, what did you, what dates did you use for that?
October 1,
that's up until October 1st, 137.
current.
Current.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's a stretch to say the trend will continue for people migrating to Litchfield County, number one. And number two, the large number of kids we lose to BOAG and magnet schools will also be reduced, which would pour more kids into the school.
Well, do you have a number for that? I'm sorry, maybe this has
Yeah,
been
there are
discussed
numbers
already.
out there for that. We don't know how many would change their minds and come here, of course. But I mean,
There was a demographic
We have
study.
the enrollment study that was done.
Right,
yeah.
And presented in October here, and that should be posted on your
Yeah,
website.
it's a couple hundred kids,
And I do
right?
have an excerpt of that in my,
it's a strong couple hundred kids that go
Not
to
in the-
BOAG and magnet schools.
Where's that, what is that projected number of what we will keep, retain, if we build this the way that it is designed? I mean, that's a pretty significant number.
Very
at these
difficult to
costs.
say, but with
I'm sure
with
it
the
is, but-
pathways, you would like to think you could keep a third of them.
I think that the Oliver Wolcott has been going down over the last really 5 years. If you look at 2015, 2016, it was upwards of 125, 150 students. And now in our last enrollment, it's down to somewhere between 50 to 60 students. So you can really see a trend that we're keeping our students in terms of the tech schools. And then we have to look at the BOAG. Pretty much that stayed the same. We have 5 to 6 students who go each year to Region 7. So that's just in the freshman class. So if you
Also,
multiply that
just
by
one-
4.
Just want to say, by state statute.
Yeah.
We give them, well, when I was there, we didn't give them now. They only limited freshmen to a certain percentage over the last 3 years. So
Who
that was the
stays whom?
BOAG,
BOAG.
I'm sorry, the BOAG. So we look at when I was there, we look at the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's the average that they're allowed for freshmen. So every year it's gone down.
Right,
That means as it goes through, it's going down.
because they used to take everybody they could get their hands on,
No, I-
because they knew Torrington would foot the bill for that.
Sure, sure. As far as you're gonna go to the city for the additional money, and personally,
We would like to.
yes. Personally, I would strongly recommend that you nail down the metrics that you can nail. Look at, if the additional student cost, now we know what that drives in terms of building costs, right? You don't want to go and ask for more money and then in 3 or 4 years, find out we're small again, you know? And we need to know what your projections are for the long-term use
Just-
of the
and
school.
this is
And
slant-
we should be able to get some real metrics. There should be some way
Yeah.
of polling.
We
doing
have a
whatever you need to
10-year,
do.
we have a 10-year projection.
Yeah.
And just so you know, the high of the projection was, correct me if I'm wrong, like 1730,
1763.
1763,
I have
Paul.
it right
And
here.
that includes polling parents, that
Oh,
kids that you would retain if parents knew that with this new school.
No, it
Not
doesn't.
included.
It doesn't.
It includes projections based on the housing developments
And
going into
births.
town
Mhm.
and live births
Right.
and the trend. But it does not poll people, you know, like this year's 8th grade parents.
But isn't, maybe I don't know, it's possible, I'm just being stupid on this, but it seems to me that if part of what if the concern is that you have to build this out to meet student needs, and then having this new building with new programs and new facilities is going to retain a bunch of students, don't we need to have some realistic projection of what that number will be to include that?
But these guys, that's not part of the state
The state won't
requirements,
allow
right?
for that.
We've actually,
The state won't allow for,
The state allows you to do enrollment projections, traditional enrollment projections, which include live births, trends, and housing developments.
not this kind of thing,
No,
even when that could be, you're telling me it could be a significant impact, right?
It could be
Well, we
50.
don't
I mean, if it was a third, it would be
no, it's not. a huge-
35 to 50.
I mean,
It
if you,
could be.
if you look at those, the rolling numbers, and film
Most
has
of
the
the
answer, I'm sure. You know,
That's a lot.
it'll be 20, 30, 40, but we're gonna be losing kids, bringing kids in.
so 20, 30, 40 spread over 6 grades
Yeah.
Yeah,
is acceptable. 120, 140 like this year spread over those 6 grades is more difficult to accommodate. And so that's why we took the time to do the new enrollment study.
Yep.
And got the numbers. And even though the highest enrollment in the next 7 years is 1,763.
Yep.
For 7th through 12th. We looked ahead at the 5 years after that number
Mhm.
and took an average. And that is the average of 1,692, 1,627, 1,637, 1,627, 1,627. And we used a round number of 1,650 to do the calculations for enrollment. And Amy's going to describe what impact 1,650 students is over the original programming effort and design development documents that you're familiar with, which we used 1,580.
Okay.
well, in practical terms, every time we project a number, we get accused of inflating it. So I don't think we're really comfortable making too big an issue on a particular number.
Okay. I just don't want to have to ask the city to put a bunch of money in, and then in 4 or 5 years, find out that we're renting
Horrible.
portables.
Right, nobody wants that. But on the other hand, we can't overbuild either, because then the state will be breathing down.
Then
our
the state
neck.
will ask money back.
They'll ask for money back. So
Okay,
it's a balancing act.
okay, okay.
It
No,
is.
no, thank you.
Paul, so these projections look at what we can look at, right? But we know, one, we had the largest freshman class this year that we've had, I think, probably in 15 or 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Why that is, we don't know. Maybe it's the new building, maybe it's not. We don't really know. There's some other factors that we can't consider. So I've been trying to, so Litchfield has developed that exploratory committee about combining Wamogo
Mhm.
and Litchfield High School.
Right.
We don't know what that implication is going to be. Will our students still be allowed to go to Wamogo?
Oh, I see.
We don't know that, and we can't get an answer because it's exploratory, but that's relevant because we
Yeah, yeah.
have over 90 kids going there.
Yeah, that's
So,
Chris Leone, right?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
so
He's
that,
gonna
but
be
that's a
poaching.
relevant
You know he's gonna be
component
poaching
that
as much
we
as he can.
can't factor in from the state perspective.
Mhm.
But I think as a city and a Board of Ed, we should be, at least in the back of our mind, thinking of all these different components. We had an English language learning presentation last night, and we found out that 80 students moved into Torrington from out of the country this year.
Wow.
So that's, I mean, we've never seen that before, from all different countries, and we're happy to give the breakdown, but 80 kids coming from outside of the country is not something that we would ever be able to predict or
Right.
get our pulse on.
No, I get
My
that. I'm-
concern is, without taking into effect all of these other things, who may elect to no longer go to a magnet school? Who will pull back from BOAG? Those things we have no idea because it's an individual parental choice. But when we're opening up the building on day one, our projection when we did the referendum was 1563, I believe,
1571.
1571. So we're already 100 over at our lowest in
No,
this
I do
tenure.
understand that. I
And
do
that
understand
doesn't take into account all of these other factors. But I can't say definitively, Wamogo is no longer going to accept our students if they merge with Litchfield because they're in an exploratory committee at this point. So maybe they will, but we don't know that.
Do we have a positive and cooperative relationship with that superintendent to be able to discuss what his plans are?
I think at this point, he's gonna want to address his community before he's sharing with other superintendents what his intentions are. And I think he has to wait and see what the community wants. So
Okay.
as Fiona's saying, it's exploratory. I have a very good relationship with Chris.
Okay, good.
But we just don't know. And but I think that in the back of our mind, all of us should be thinking about all these other layers that we can't encompass into this enrollment projection.
You said 90, that's 90, 9 through 12, does it include middle school kids?
No, this,
We don't have middle schoolers going.
They're not allowed.
no.
Oh, no.
And I will get the exact number for this year because it did change a little bit this year, but
Mhm.
so I can email everybody what the current number is.
Yeah, we have that.
But it's been down.
It's been down.
Because of
Put a
the,
cap on it.
right, that's why the cap at ninth grade helps us.
Yes.
I mean,
And just perspective, and I'm not gonna say another word about this, but, we send over $1 million to WMOCO. So obviously, if we can retain some of those students,
Sure.
that's what we would definitely want to do so that we're investing in our own school
Right.
versus other schools, and taking into account that if there are kids that are really interested in BOAG, that's a,
Yeah,
a
and don't
completely
forget-
different animal.
it's more than $1 million between Region 7.
Yeah.
And Wamogo, because in there is almost $1 million in special ed costs.
Right.
So if the kids came back, we would not have to spend that extra money because we have already the special ed facility and the people to take care of that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
just
big,
flat
that's a big
tuition
chunk.
and busing.
And the busing.
The busing, well, it's with Region 6, it's combined with our buses. We do have 2 buses that Region 7 that we have to pay for. that they pay. So,
that is the Cliff Notes, and now you can hear the meat and
Yeah,
potatoes.
we just wanted to make it easy for everybody to understand why it's over, because we got 137 kids, 172 feet per kid, $525 to build, to over $12 million. That's the problem. How do we build a school for money that we have, that we don't have to ask for more money? And SLAM, ONG, Construction Solutions, we've been meeting, and it's tough. It's tough to find, 120 square foot here, boom, boom. So Amy, we talked today and we got it at 3 o'clock, finished, and she sent it to me, so I made copies for everybody. So if you want to go over that.
Sure.
And Amy's Christmas is here too to work on that.
So thanks, everybody. This is going to be a lot of numbers tonight. So the packet that you have in front of you is what you'll see on the screen. But we wanted to be able to present it and allow you to make notes or ask questions as we go. So as mentioned, we have been working hard to figure out the amount of square feet needed for the 1650 student population. So there's an increase needed, but we've also done a lot of value engineering. We've had a meeting on Tuesday that was very challenging, as Mario described, and a number of you were there and participated, and I appreciate that. And so this is a review of what that led us to. And so on the screen, you'll see the allowable area for 1650 students, which is down at the bottom of the page, 284,972 net gross square feet. That is inside face of exterior wall. That is what the state calls the building size. When we talk to O&G about the building size, they have to build the exterior wall, so we use gross. When Amy Christmas talks to you about the building size, she's talking about the usable rooms for program areas. It does not include mechanical spaces. It does not include corridors. It does not include stairs or elevators. That is called the net square feet. So I know that we've kind of thrown a lot of these numbers at you in the past, but it's always good to have a reminder of which are which. The program is based on net square feet, and that has calculated out to, for the school only, not including central office, 188,994 as compared to 191,211. That is because this includes cuts that were discussed the other day. These cuts still don't bring us in budget, but they bring us closer. We were able to capture a building efficiency in the design development package of 64.7% in the middle column, one of the middle rows there. And then the area of just the school, not including the central office, was 295,672 at that point. With all of the cuts and value management discussed on Tuesday, we are confident that the building can be 293,014, which brings us to an to be within the allowable area for the students. So that's a good news. The good news is we think that we can deliver the building in a similar footprint to what you're accustomed to, with a very good building efficiency of over 64%, and be within the allowable area for the state reimbursement, which means you get the full 85% on that building area.
So just one other thing, Amy, that means we don't have to go for a space waiver?
Correct.
Right.
So Amy Christmas, I'm going to have you speak to the next two slides. Amy developed a list of what was discussed both Tuesday and prior, which include increases to the program for the enrollment and decreases to the program sometimes for value management.
Thanks, Amy. Over across the entire program, middle school, high school, and central offices, there were some things that went up and there were some things that went down. With the increase of students, there are some things you do need to provide more of, unfortunately, which sent the building going in the wrong direction of increasing. And so we had to decrease in other areas that we were able to find when we met on Tuesday. What you're seeing here, the left-hand side, we categorize the space types by department. The middle two columns represent where we were with the DD program when we had 1580 students. And the updated program is where the program currently has stopped at, well, by the end of the day on Tuesday, with our new enrollment projection of 1650 in grades 7 through 12. And then the far right demonstrates the delta that occurred because of all of these changes. So we will start with pathways in the specific learning environments to support the pathway spaces, those pathways that require specialty equipment or specialty hand-on or simulated environments. In some cases where we plugged in the new enrollment numbers, we had to increase the business classroom capacity from, for instance, 20 students to 24 students for each of those classrooms, which made those get larger. We had to add a health classroom at the high school. We eliminated the education pathway specific spaces, including the preschool at the high school. The pathways still exist. Those specialty spaces will not be provided, and the learning will happen within the classroom, as well as the internship opportunities that currently are in place will be maximized in the future. We've added, since the DD program, the construction technology shop and support space at the high school, and then the automotive shop and its support spaces at the high school. Those were added since DD, so that's why we are seeing across all of those changes an add of 4,380 square feet. In the Learning Commons, it was accepted, I believe, by this group or another, one of our previous meetings prior to Tuesday, that prior to the enrollment increase, as a space savings was to combine the high school and middle school libraries while providing appropriate separation for student space. So some of the spaces that can be shared will be shared. We will combine and house the stacks of the two libraries together. We reduced some of the volumes of the stacks, but we do have the appropriate separation of space for the high school circulation desk and the high school staff from the middle school staff in their spaces. So we're seeing a reduction of 1,635 net square feet. In the category of administration, we group main office space, the nurses space, and the guidance office spaces. Both, again, these are for middle school and high school together. We are seeing a very modest increase in that area to accommodate increased number of cots and the increased number of waiting chairs in the nurse's office. And that is all that is included as a change or a delta for that particular department. Special education, another modest adjustment in providing more lockers for paraprofessionals that would be needed to assist with the increased enrollment at the high school. For academics, which includes all of your classrooms, including ELL classrooms, and also including science labs, we only had to reduce by one classroom at the high school. Middle school stayed the same. At Visual Arts, we combined 3 learning environments to 2 learning environments, increasing one of them to accommodate extra equipment. And we decreased by 1 storage room. We did maintain a kiln and 2 other storage spaces to accommodate supplies as well as student project space. Under the category of performing arts, We reduced the shared band room, which is the instructional space for the band, from 140 seats down to 110 seats. And just as a side note, the existing band room is sized at 100 seats today in the existing high school. So that is still seeing increase from what you are currently having today. In food service for both the middle school and the high school, we reduced the dining seating areas to accommodate 4 lunch waves, moving from 3 lunch waves to 4 lunch waves, which reduced the number of seats that would be needed in those rooms. So that saw a pretty good reduction of space of over 2,000 net square feet. Physical education and athletics, those two are combined together in one category. Since DD, the program had to increase a number for the actual gymnasium area to reflect the existing gym footprint that we are now maintaining at the high school. So that was larger than it was recorded at DD. We consolidated the toilet and shower fixtures that we had allocated between the PE locker rooms and the athletic locker rooms. So we only have one set of those, the fixtures. So that, again, we're only buying one set of expensive fixtures and have the ability to plan those so that after school locker rooms and during school locker rooms have access to those. And then we eliminated team rooms and coaches meeting space. Within that area, there will be a classroom that will be associated with the trainer's room that could accommodate coaches meetings, scout meetings, tutoring for athletes, tape review, etc. So that one of those health classrooms that had to be added will be located in this area, and those things could happen after school in that space. And then the final category, or in the 2 schools, is building support. We realigned the allocation for student lockers to align with the new enrollment, but we would only be providing only 5% more as opposed to what we usually do. We usually accommodate 10% more than the projected enrollment for flexibility over time. We're only going to build in 5%. And then within the district offices, we eliminated 1 office out of that, that overall suite of spaces. Ultimately, across the ups and downs of all of this information here, we were able to provide a savings within the school of over 2,000 net square feet of space. And this is the summary of the last 2 slides that we just looked at. So that's each of those departments. The totals are in the bold, and then below that are the individual schools themselves. You can see those lines broken out separately.
So this is a good description of the program areas that we looked at in order to accommodate the increased enrollment, but also reduce the building cost. There were some other value management factors, some of which include large add alternates to the project and a couple of additional items that were pending the last time we met that were accepted. Some of those are tough to swallow. For example, it's the catwalk at the auditorium and spiral stair leading to that. So rather than spotlights being in that location, or a lighting bar that's adjustable that would be accessible by students, we will look at having some vertical lighting along the walls that's easier to access with lifts or with ladders. Some tough value management items. We are, if you could, taking a look at this summary, the construction cost at the time of the end of design development that we presented a month or so, or 2 months ago, was originally 13.9% from budget. We did some value management and we were able to bring that down significantly. But then we had to bump it back up for the enrollment and then down again on Tuesday with some negotiating. And we are currently landing, as you can see, at an adjusted construction cost total of 9.5 million or so over the construction budget.
And remember, in that construction budget, we still have money because we're for contingency for escalation, thank you, in there. So that's about 11 million that we have in the budget. What we could do now is that SLAM is taking all of these cuts and gyrations to do another, what would you call it? A schematic
I would call it a redesign development.
redesign development
Yes,
with all of this new ideas that we have in the cuts. That's going to take them probably 2 weeks to do that. Then they have to go to their subs, electrical and mechanical and so forth. That may take another 2 weeks. So we're looking for them
and structural engineers.
and structural, thank you. Probably by February to have that done and chime in O&G and everybody. Then we go to, then O&G will give us a budget for the design development, the updated new design development. We'll see where that, and those numbers should be closer to what's out there. And then they will start, and I think, do you need tonight, Kemp, that they will start after that, the construction documents. And hopefully, we want to get out before summer starts for bidding. It's very imperative that we do that, and O&G and SLAM know that, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure, I shouldn't put words in their mouth.
We'll be expediting.
Right, thank you, okay, to get it out, Gary.
Did these savings, the value management, did that include reduction in soft cost or no? Like the building permit and those things, or these just? building?
Yes, that,
Well, there's
Good point.
a
That
slight
does
increase
include-
in cost.
right.
Right,
We
that's-
went to, Mario and I and Gary went to Board of Finance. They reduced, excuse me, and
The
Fiona.
whole-
Everybody, I'm sorry. You get old, you forget who's the shapes and the faces. They all look the same. No. So we went to them. They reduced because we had an agreement with the mayor of them that we would leave 365,000 in that for the skate park and so forth. So they did cut $1,224,841 from the project, which we were very happy from the permit fees. And they approved that night, so. So hopefully, we want to go out before the summer. Also, we discussed, and I'm not familiar with this, and Laurel can go into, have an enabling package, if you want to come up and discuss that.
Everybody what the process is. The overall design has to be done for us to go up to the state with the cost estimate. Building committee is gonna have to go through the motion of approving the document with the estimate. Then the Board of Ed has to approve the document and the estimate. We go up to the state. And we wait for the state to do their review and allow us to go out to bid. Right now, we're foreseeing that we're not gonna be able to bid and get started on the big project, we'll call it, for the start of summer. We think by the time we get approval, go out to bid, we're probably pushing going out to bid June, May or June. And it's a very long bidding process because it's a very large job. There's gonna be a lot of drawings. So we're anticipating about between 5 and 6 weeks for bidding. So you can see how the summer kind of goes away, just in the general time frame that we're at right now. So what we'd like to consider doing, and we're just starting the first ideas of this, is to take advantage of next summer and get some work done. because we do have the new building footprint and it's away from the existing school, it would be great to take advantage of next summer to do what we'll call an enabling package. And that's where we would come in over the summer, we would set up the perimeter fencing and the gates, try to establish where the contractor staging areas are gonna be. We're gonna need to build you temporary parking because the new building is in your parking lot. So to get that done over the summer would be good. Of course, we're gonna wanna do that as cost efficiently as possible. So wherever that's going, that would also be ideal to get that done during the summer. I believe because of where the school is being located, the new school, it's gonna impact your traffic flows, your bus drop off, parent drop off. That rerouting should also be something that we would wanna do so that when they start the school year, that's already in place, because we're thinking about doing this major construction work starting during the school year. If everybody remembers, we have the ground improvement work. That's something that will take time off the overall schedule in the end. In other words, that'll help quicken the schedule by getting that ground improvement work done. And then, not knowing now, but we may have some site utility work. It may make sense to get that done while school's not in session. And so we're not interrupting if we have anything with sanitary or storm, or if there's power, lighting, it's kind of good to get that. So a lot of this work is you'd be doing anyhow, just trying to get a jump early. What does that mean? It means a separate phase, we'll call it. So you go up to the state ahead of time with a separate package, separate bid package. So again, you have to go to the building committee with the estimate, Board of Ed with the estimate, go up to the state, they bless us, we got the bid. That will happen way earlier than the rest of the project. And then you go up a second time with the big project.
Also, if you tell them that the state would not allow us to go out to bid for steel and all that other,
Yeah, you're not allowed to pre-purchase anything, although I'm wondering if maybe now they might consider
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
I mean, we'll
could be.
certainly push it. But, they don't allow you to part and parcel parts of the job out. They want the entire design done. And, concrete, steel, they want it all done. They want to see one package when it goes to hit the street. Just because in the past they've had issues where, you think the structural design is done, but then something may change and then they see change orders because it wasn't coordinated, because it wasn't done. So, who knows, maybe they'll allow it, we don't know, but we don't want to wait, I don't want to say waste, but we don't want to lose next summer, not being able to do anything, might as well take advantage of it. And it means an extra bid package set. It will gain, help us with the schedule, because we're getting this ground improvement work done, that's on the critical path. So that will help us there, and then we're gonna get out the bid with the rest of it as soon as we can. Any questions?
thanks. So when do you need that or that authorization?
This?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna talk about construction documents are gonna be done beginning of February.
No,
DD will be done beginning of February, so we would want this early package like done around March.
Okay,
Towards the end of February, early March.
okay. So that's where we stand. We hope,
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I got one.
Yeah.
On this budget, Amy, I think we should let the group know that that's the building. And the field's not included in that, right?
The fields are in the add alternate line right now. That's correct.
Okay.
And, I mentioned one of the many value management items that are in that 10 million.
Right, now just so, at the risk of making Mike cry, McKenna that is, we're gonna build the two fields under the base bid that are beneath the existing building, right? Is that the way I remember it? The varsity softball field and the varsity baseball field?
I'm gonna look to Dave.
I would say that's what we talked about on Tuesday.
Right.
However, the number that's in value management was a
whole
cut
shooting
on all of
match.
it. So technically that $4 million ad alternate
Yep,
is,
for everything.
that's everything. So there has to be an adjustment to that, and we'll have to
Okay.
clarify. But I think that approach
Right,
Right, and I think
makes sense.
we'll break it up into multiple
Yeah.
alternates if we need to. Laurel had a good description of why it's important to add alternates on bid day. Because if the current estimate is correct and it comes in at $9 million over, then what? You can't go asking for more money.
We want to go out to bid. I've spoken to a couple of contractors who've done work in Torrington for us, the ceiling guy, a couple of others, and they're waiting for this to go out. The feds are not going to have their programs yet for another year maybe, but the ceiling guy, he told me he's looking for this project. He's a union guy, and he did great work for us, and
It's the only way we're gonna really know where we stand.
correct, right. Yeah.
And that's why the Slam's gonna do everything they can.
And the idea of the alternates is so that you don't lose time by having to go back and redesign and
Right.
rebid. You have controls on bid day where you can choose to take more things if you get competitive pricing. You get people that are really hungry for the work, you can add more scope into it, but you're starting at a lower scope so that you can try to lock in at least something that you can build come bid day, and you don't have to scrap it and then go back and rebid, because you lose a lot with that too. You
Yeah,
lose
of
bidder
time and
participation,
bidder participation.
The numbers out there.
We have to
so-
rebid. So to that end, this $14 million of value management is not enough. So to be clear, we're still gonna be looking to do more in order to bridge that $9 million gap.
And that takes us back to why we need help from the city.
And that was a question I had. What is the interplay of the chicken and the egg? I mean, if we're successful in asking the city, so successful, because they're persuasive, that they're willing to cover the 25 million disparity between the DD estimate plus the enrollment. I know that won't happen, but
Right.
were they to, where we didn't have to do any value management, like, when do we know, what is the timing of that? Because if they're willing to pay for more, do we have to make some of these cuts?
I mean, it's Paul and Armand, maybe you could speak to it, but I'm not sure what the sequence is or the chain of events to occur is. I mean, to me, being a simpleton, we were asking the taxpayers for 74 million. We brought it down to 25 million, right? We did that without public notice or without referendum, just through some good work from one of our representatives. On the surface, right, I don't see why we can't say, okay, we were gonna charge the taxpayers 74 million, but now we're gonna charge them 40 million. We're still, everybody, that should be one of those scenarios where everybody makes out. The school gets built the way it should be. The taxpayers still save $34 million. That's the way it should be, but
Yeah, but I think the question, I'm wrong, but if we go forward with the design development now for this footprint and the city comes up with $25 million, how do you put that back into the package? Not selling the project now.
Well, I mean, again, I think.
So somebody had alternates.
Most of that is alternates.
Yeah. right,
Well,
right.
but we cut
But
square
you're-
footage too. though.
But again, you're at the point where you're not gonna be able to then just say, oh, that room that started at 1,000 square feet, that we agreed to function just as well at 800. When they're done, you're not gonna move it back because
I know,
they're
that's
gonna,
right, that's right.
so I mean, as far as the.
Yeah, that was the question.
The finish of things, if there were, there were some things from a cost perspective, we looked at a different material. Those were things that.
A lot of that's been already accounted for in the management, the 10 line number.
well, I think things like the Board of Ed build out, the athletic fields, some of the stuff we're losing on the inside that's not part and parcel to actual construction, be it finishes or cabinetry or whatever the case may be.
And the
Those are
deficit.
things you could change up pretty quickly.
And I think accounting for the deficit as well.
Right.
If we're projecting 9 million today, and we've got $10 million in alternates, say it's 5 million. it's
There's
about
20 right there.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So they become out alternates and really what covers our deficit. Maybe the deficit will be zero. Yeah, if we're lucky, but
So I'm gonna be looking to our city councilman and anybody else on how, and of course, our mayor, on how we address this situation.
So I have a question. So we would go forward with this, but anything that is out in here is out. So there would be no preschool?
Correct.
At that site.
At that site.
It's gonna be at a
Still
different site.
have it.
Okay, so there still would be a
Yes,
preschool
yeah.
program.
Correct,
It just
correct.
wouldn't be at
Yes,
that
The
site.
program is there.
Correct.
Not the
Yes.
high school.
It wouldn't
Just-
impact the program.
Okay.
It would just be relocated.
I'm just looking and seeing preschool is, I mean, that's a
Well, listen,
phenomenal program, but
Right.
getting rid of it is.
No, no, no.
every one of us
You're
could
getting
look
rid
at
of the space.
any,
Yeah,
yes,
it's-
every one of us
it's
could look at the
specific
list of
spaces.
things being eliminated and say, oh my God, because there's all stuff in there we want, but
You're
get rid of
just,
it at the high
you're
school.
just not
Moving it to
using that
another
space for
location.
preschool.
Right,
Correct.
correct,
That's the
It's
best
still
way.
usable space. You're not lessening the space.
correct.
The space is still there. It's not gonna be used for.
Well, no, that's
preschool.
not true. We're
We're losing.
reducing.
No, that's
the-
incorrect, right. Go ahead, Amy.
Sorry, we're reducing the building size by that much.
Okay, so
Intentional.
instead of like it coming around here, it's just only gonna come to here.
No. it won't
Well, then
be.
that building loss is.
We're gonna-
totally
But
The
the building
redesign will
itself
take,
is gonna be smaller.
it will be by 2,217 net square feet.
Okay.
And where that comes out physically is in process, we haven't started designing that yet.
Okay.
But for example, the two libraries were at far opposite ends of each wing from each other. Now they're gonna be combined. We're gonna have to redesign in a location that is accessible from both schools for that library and cinch in the building accordingly at the location of where those libraries were. But, or infill those areas with something different and cinch the building in somewhere else.
Okay.
That's all in progress.
Okay. The program isn't going, the space is going, and
Correct.
this will be somewhere else. It'll still
You
be
will,
a program,
Not at
Not
the
at the high school.
not at the high school.
not at the high school.
Right.
Classrooms. The course will still be offered. Kids will still be able to take the child development, but their internship, their practical experience will be in another building where the preschool's relocated.
Okay, gotcha.
Is there an itemized list that we can see of what that 10,484,000 cuts represent? Just because I think it's important for everyone here to understand
Mhm.
what we've already lost.
Yes, I don't have a presentable version of that I can project tonight. But we can download it. It's an active document. It's a shared Excel document that SLAM and ONG both have access to. So if we put an idea on the list, Bruce, who works with Dave and Laurel, will go in with his team of estimators and we'll put the value in. So we work back and forth literally constantly on that. So
So
this
I
is a
can-
moment in time and that's what I have. I can download it and provide it to the chairpersons and then they can share it with the committee.
So my concern is if the fields weren't mentioned, we wouldn't have known that. So I just want to
We
make
would-
sure if there's other things in there that, you
I
know,
think we tried to highlight between us the big items,
The bigger.
the square footage reduction is also on that list, so that's a part of the 10 million.
no, I'm just saying, so the building committee members have to
Yeah.
face the public
Yeah.
and get questions. So I feel like they
Look at
should know for sure what's going on.
Yeah.
If you recall, we presented some of the larger ones at the last building meeting on the fourth
Right,
during the presentation.
right, and I mean, if you go back and look at the November meeting, that's when we shared items like changing from fiber cement panels on the gymnasium to ground-based concrete block. So that was a material change that saved hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's not a program area change.
But it would still be part of that value engineering.
It would be part of the green page, I'll call it, the accepted $10 million.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking. I think that we should all be able to know exactly what is
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah, I have it, but I don't have it in form. She sent it to me and we'll get it to everybody.
Paul's got a question.
Yeah, one more time. What will the ask for the city be in terms of dollars here?
We think $15 million.
1.5, that's what you're saying?
Well, I think it's
15 extra above the
Above-
23 million, right?
Yes.
That's because I'm working some numbers.
above what- no,
Above what, 23?
Well, their original,
The original.
their 15% obligation,
23,930,000.
23 is what we're. the
Not
city's-
their original obligation.
right? The
Once
original
they're
current.
current.
The
Yeah,
current.
yeah, yeah,
So we went
okay,
from
okay.
74 to 24.
You're going
And
to
what-
increase the ask to another 15 million.
Yeah, call
I
it
think
40,
it's
so
over
Oh, you mean the
Like you
very,
just said,
this
no,
one?
yeah.
Okay,
maybe 20.
$11
on
million
the
dollar-
screen, we have a,
Yeah,
this,
call it 20.
this
That
one
includes
hasn't
the
been
fields.
Right.
presented tonight, but this is the numbers that Armand is referring to. This
Yeah, it's
is a
in your,
slide.
it's in your last.
Yeah.
It's in a slide from last month.
Last month.
You got that, Armand?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, if you see at the bottom, the date is 11/4, but that's what we presented a month ago.
My suggestion is you go with a breakdown of the ad alternates, like the fields and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And also
Yeah, also.
the city's gonna have to probably bond out at least temporarily the 11% holdback until closeout.
Yeah, he knows about that. too.
So that's another $17.5 million.
The state
temporarily
holds
anyways.
11% of each project payment. Bill Lindsay knows that, he's figuring it out now, that he has to borrow the 11%.
Yeah.
And they won't get that until 6 months after the state is audited the project.
But that's not in addition to these amounts.
No.
No, that's
Yeah,
within
I
the,
just
within the total project
It's
budget.
within-
So that's in these numbers. So it's not 11% more than those.
No.
No,
No,
it's
no,
not,
no.
correct.
That was all
It's
part of
just
the original.
timing of
Correct,
your
correct.
bonds and figuring out your financing.
Yeah.
That's important to understand.
He's gonna,
Yeah.
short-term the
That's what I'm
bonds,
saying. You just
the
gotta-
notes for 6 months
Mhm.
for the, until we get the 11% back.
So Mario,
It's
the
just
ask that you
people need
talked
to know.
about, the 15,000 or 15 or?
We're gonna call it 20.
20, we'll call it 20.
Okay. What is
Unless
it-
we
is that
stay
based
later.
on something?
Excuse me?
What's that?
Is that, what of the numbers that we've seen is that based on?
To $10 million
The 10 million for the added
Yeah.
people?
plus the ad alternates,
Right.
which is almost 16 million.
Yeah.
And then there's possibly stuff.
Right.
We're already over 9 million.
Yeah, we're over 9 million.
So it's a place. It's a
But I guess-
placeholder.
Why not?
If
Why,
we-
why are we limiting it to that? I mean, I
Oh,
doubt you're gonna
we,
say yes.
I think we obviously want to, we want to entice the city to help us
Yeah.
and still keep the taxpayers happy that they're not paying 74, they're paying, what's the total, Armand, 40?
Well, yeah, it would be 43 million.
43, so we're still saving them 30, right? Because listen, we all want, we think with $20 million, we could give you, not you, but everyone, the product that we all had in mind. Right? At where we stand right now, we're gonna give you a product where 3 years from now, we're gonna be going back to the city, asking money somehow to build out the Board of Ed offices. We're gonna ask the city somehow to help us with the fields, or we have to get a state grant. $20 million will allow us to do the building the way it should be done.
I'm not sure anymore will give us anything other than upgrade the finishes.
Well, no, I think it would give us back separate middle school, high school libraries. I think it would give us back
No,
a
we
bigger.
can't change. That's his point. There's really not
Yeah.
much we can do once we get into the design still and
Correct.
the rest of the building.
But if we could, and then maybe I'm naive in this, I'm sure I am, but
The
if
only
we
way
got
that,
an answer this
the
week.
only way that could happen
Right.
is if we got an answer,
That's what
right,
I'm-
exactly right.
So
right.
that's what I was trying to get to is who among us, or who can we go to get an idea of the process to get an answer on this?
Well, I think the city council folks have to
Yeah.
spearhead it.
So is that, what does spearhead it mean? Does that mean go to the mayor?
I think we, I don't know, Paul, what do you think? Have a meeting?
Yeah.
To start with, to explain it?
Yeah, ASAP, quite
Right.
frankly,
Well, I'll do
Okay.
it tomorrow.
you know,
Then it
no,
needs to go
no,
on
no, no. What I would recommend, okay, an executive, this is, look at, within this group that's been working on this for a year and a half, trying to get consensus as to what we're really doing, how these buckets of money are being moved around, it's nearly impossible. Now you're gonna want the city to go and sell this to taxpayers, okay? And the messaging has to be a lot more simplified, direct, and effective, and this is not it. So,
We're not gonna have time for that.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's not gonna happen. That's the point. It's either we do it this year and get the draw.
what I'm saying is, yeah, this has to be moved expeditiously to do that, okay? Why are we asking for this much money? If we don't, if the city doesn't, why are we here making the ask, okay? What do we lose if we don't? What do the people of Torrington, blah, 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 our stakeholders, what do they lose if we don't do it? What do we gain if we do it? And present it,
But part of that message also has to be, we're not taxing you for $74 million, we're taxing you for $44 million or whatever that number is.
No, I get that, Mario, and I
It's still
do
a
get that.
positive. It's not as big of a positive as it was a few days ago.
Yeah.
But
Slam has all that. I mean, that is easy for them to present in half an hour. It is a spreadsheet of where we've cut, what we've cut. and- and all
What
that.
I'm suggesting is there's a two-hop here. You want to get the mayor and the rest of the city council behind it, but the mayor and the city council are politicians. They're gonna be thinking, how am I gonna sell this to the public and not get my ass whooped at the next election? And so you've got to be able to present it so that it flies
I
on both
understand.
hops.
I
okay?
understand they have to be informed, but I think at the end of the day, the message still, you have to give them all the facts, but the exclamation point has to be, it's 44 million now instead of 74 million.
Okay.
We're still
Okay.
saving Joe
I get that.
Public
Yes, Mario.
$30 million.
Yes,
And that's obviously-
and the cost drivers are beyond our control. They weren't predicted.
Yeah, I mean,
So
the
this is
kids-
not, this is to the mayor and the city council, we're gonna worry that this looks like just another typical government boondoggle to the
No, I
taxpayer.
understand.
That we have to be very specific about what we do. And I would strongly suggest, again, just, it's show and tell, What do we lose if we don't do this? What do we gain, including some of the aesthetic things that, at this point, those numbers are pretty small. We're gonna ask for more money. And if they make a significant impact, I would strongly suggest getting, and I know we're short on time, but
Slam has all the, they have the.
Good.
If you can get a meeting tomorrow. they can-
No, it's not gonna-
Well,
I'm not
not
gonna get a
saying
meeting
tomorrow, I'm saying next week. But we don't have a month or two, that's the problem.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, we don't have that. But if you get the meeting, both of you, the presentation is very precise.
can somebody come to the city council Monday night? Can somebody come and, I will, or request, chairman of the board, can you request an agenda item? I mean, I can make the request, why not? All right, I'll make the request to add an agenda item. Hopefully they can get on the agenda for tomorrow. If not, then just be prepared to show up to make the request for a meeting as soon as possible. And I will call Eleanor tomorrow and tell her what's up, that we need to get moving on this. Does
So
that,
what
is that what you want?
So Monday is also the swearing in of everyone.
Yeah,
So I'm wondering, I think
Yeah,
they'd
but
probably
that's
be
at
less
4.
willing. It's
Say what?
for it.
That's at 4.
That's at 4.
yeah, so we have a regular meeting.
Yeah,
after.
we're gonna meet at 6:30.
Right.
So what are we requesting just to, at the meeting?
Quite honestly, as I think about this, we really need to sit down in our office before we go public with this.
Correct, yeah.
We need to sit down in our office.
Yeah, that's.
All right, so just, do you or you want to make that request? And I can be, you could be there anytime tomorrow, or want me to ask her?
I'd love it
set
to
up?
do it tomorrow if we can.
Yeah, well,
Again, I can't make it.
I have no idea what to schedule.
But if we get the breakdown from Slam, it's simple.
Okay.
I mean, it literally
I'm-
is.
I'll
If
call-
it's okay with you guys, I'm gonna text her right now and see what her schedule is.
Can I just ask this, to Paul's point of selling this to the taxpayers? And maybe Slam and Dave, do we have an amount of this, over budget that we can lay off on COVID?
Well, I mean,
All of it.
well, I mean,
Is it all?
well, I mean, yeah, the
COVID-based?
escalation.
Well,
is
yeah,
largely
it's-
attributed
it's-
to-
The escalation and the enrollment.
Because I think a lot of people understand that pain.
And just look at your gas.
What it is.
You were paying
Exactly.
$1.20 less last year.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, the escalation that we saw between schematic design and design development from, on average, from most of the bid packages was 10%.
From the referendum budget, from when we established the $159 million budget, the design development was 10.25% escalation.
And we normally
Which was
see 4%.
Which was double the escalation that we had anticipated. in the referendum budget, so.
And if I remember, your escalation was probably double what the inflation at the time that we were experiencing in construction. You doubled the escalation. You increased.
We were at, like I said, we were 5.5%, 6%. I think.
I think the other component is because I think some people will just say, we'll just wait till the material costs come down.
Oh, no.
But
No,
this 85% is what people
The
really have
problem,
to understand.
problem
We
waiting
can't
is state statute.
Yeah.
We got the grant starting July 1. You have 2 years to put a shovel in the ground. If you do not put a shovel in the ground, they take the money back. That's what happened with Oliver Luka Tech.
Right. So I know that. I
Yeah.
just
So
think
you
that's
need a
what the
copy of
public
that
needs to
statute
understand.
at the meeting.
And that never happens anyway. I mean, commodities fluctuate, the labor doesn't.
Is
They
the
can't.
public aware of and the public, in terms
Well-
of selling anything to the public, they're not even aware of
Listen,
the
we-
85%.
when we announced this
Well,
85,
that was.
yeah, when we announced that 85%,
Yeah, I think it was.
when we announced that 85%, there was not a boo about it.
Right.
You know, no good job, Michelle, no this, no, nothing. And I venture to say, even though we seem to dwell on bad news in Torrington, there's just not that many people who are in tune with that whole 85 versus 62%. And therefore, if the headline reads, guess what? Instead of doing it for 74 million, we're doing it for 44 million. People are gonna be saying, hey, all right. And then they'll forget about it again tomorrow.
Or we save 50 million, that's gonna say project cost up 25 million because of that, 50 instead of 75.
Yeah,
That's what-
Any other component is you're never getting 85% on.
Monday morning,
anything.
9 AM.
No, that was a
For me,
miracle.
it's fine, yeah.
No one said that very clearly. You're never gonna-
You're never.
You're at
gonna-
work. You could go.
Yes, absolutely.
Fiona, 9 AM Monday morning?
Fiona.
9 AM.
The only other thing I want to say is I think the numbers are very important and breakdowns are very important, but as we all know, it's so overwhelming, right? So for people who aren't,
Yeah.
for the rest of the city council people who are going to see and try to digest some of this, I mean, there's this element of it in some respects that is, it doesn't make a lot of common sense to have to increase because of a higher number of students, but decrease space. I mean, we're sharing libraries, but going to more lunchways. So if at the very least, those two items can be pulled out and valued or something to say, at least cover the 10 million for increased and putting back these spaces.
Well,
It's nonsensical.
Sorry. No, I meant to say you have to stay consistent with the core idea here of combining a middle school and a high school and keeping those populations discrete. And I assume that's what the library original plan was, right?
It was.
Two
Yeah.
separate libraries altogether.
Got to fight for that.
Here it's gonna be one library
Look at-
separated.
Separated.
On Monday, come in with the, I mean, to me, the initial approach is to blame everything on COVID, okay? So let's just plan on doing that, okay? Because that gives Eleanor something she can more easily push. Everybody in this room and in the city knows that they're paying a hell of a lot more for everything, and this is included. Okay, and then we, if that's the backbone of what the argument is, then we'll hang everything from that to try to simplify it, and this is where we need to go, okay? Let's help her try to push it to the council and help us try to push it to other council people.
Can you do 11 Monday?
I can do 11, yeah.
Semi-retired.
But Jerry didn't want to get up that early.
Real time.
Just remember tonight, we still need to allow them to go ahead with their design development drawings.
Right.
And
No.
whatever
Well, no,
happens in the
when-
meantime, you have to.
Yeah, they have
whether
to
you
do
have
it.
to pay to redo it or.
But then, doesn't that mean we can't change it then?
Well,
Yeah,
that's.
can I, well, I don't know, I didn't have a chance to talk to Kemp about it yet, but may I suggest that maybe this group says okay to proceed,
Right.
but if there's a conversation happening on Monday, I would just say, pump the brakes for a few days until the next formal meeting, but because there's some threshold, right, of, there could be some, there's some things on the VE list that if they came off the VE list, we wouldn't necessarily have to redo design development, right?
Not to the same degree, correct.
Right, so that 2 months that we're gonna spend with you redoing it, if there are some things that in the discussion with the city that can come off that
We'll be
list.
careful about what we document at the very beginning of this
Yeah.
approved phase. And, it's gonna honestly take me a few days to get a team back assembled. We put everybody on hold. And so I need to go back and say, okay, project turned back on. I need 4 people back on the project. So they're gonna need a day to wrap up what they're in the middle of. Monday's fine.
Well, Monday also,
There's no
we
rush.
have to find out, 15, 20 million. That has to go to referendum, probably.
Oh, I would assume, yeah.
Yeah, so,
The city council's not.
So-
No.
right, so that's the thing. They can't stop and wait until the referendum
No,
comes.
No.
They have to go.
Right.
But my point is, and I'm no lawyer and I'm no politician, but why does it have to go to referendum? It didn't go to referendum to go down from 72 to 22. So why does it have to go to referendum to go down
I
from
don't know,
72
just assumed
to
you would because you're
44?
asking for more. It's not a
You're
question.
spending
We're not
more
asking.
You're
than
not asking for more.
$159 million.
Yeah.
State statute, that's it, 159. Now we're gonna spend 179.
Yeah.
They don't have, nobody has authorization for 179 million.
Right. Because you're
Doesn't make a
increasing
lot
by
of sense.
20 million.
Okay.
Even if the
okay.
city says, yeah, we
No,
want
the
to
risk is
spend
only
it,
the
it has to
20
go to
million.
referendum.
But the city's not spending.
Because
more,
now
it's the state
they-
that's spending.
The state
What
is
if-
spending more. Okay,
They want
okay.
the
Got it,
85.
got it.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't reimburse us on anything more than the 159 million.
Correct.
That's exactly
Correct.
why
That's
the
correct.
city has to give.
Has to give money.
Correct.
That's
Do we
it.
want Michelle there?
But it has to be a referendum?
Yeah, the city council or Board of Ed, Board of Finance can only have 100,000, I think, is their allowed ability to, without the bids or anything. Yeah.
Meetings with the.
20 meetings, approve 100 million,
Again.
100,000 each time.
Yeah.
No.
Do you want the bound
It's gonna
conflict?
go above that.
It's getting too big. We should
One
go.
zero.
200 meetings?
Well, we'll have, who's
So
gonna,
it seems like no matter what, it's going to be this size of a building
correct.
that you have here.
I wanted to address a question I heard over here. Why do we have to move right away? In order to get the bids out as soon as possible is why we need to move right away. But so if we delay any further,
Yeah, we can't.
it's just gonna keep pushing. the
We
bid
really
down.
want to find out what those prices are.
Right.
Okay. We've put in 11 million for construction contingency. The committee has another X amount of money in contingency. People are hungry. That's why we got to get out right away for bidding.
Right.
I think,
Well, it's more important than that. We need the drawings.
correct. Yeah.
They have to get them done.
Right.
We're gonna be out to next year if we don't get them done.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we're on a timeline. If we don't have, put a shovel in the ground, the state's going to say, lost the money.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Can I just ask another question?
Yeah.
Would we be able to get a legal opinion from the city attorney on, so the taxpayers on the original referendum voted to pay 74,625,180. So the taxpayers agreed in referendum to pay this.
That's,
Correct.
I understand the 159 with the
that's
state,
my point too.
but we're not requesting any additional money from the state, and we're requesting half of what
Right.
the
But it's still
taxpayers agreed to spend
Over
on
the
the project.
159 million.
Yeah, the project itself is over.
But
it's
the
gonna be over
referendum
100.
question read, there's a
Yeah.
very gray
Right,
area here. The
taxpayer
referendum
portion.
question read,
Let's just get a legal opinion.
do you,
Get a legal.
right, do you approve spending up to 159 million with $74 million to the
Yeah.
taxpayers? Okay, so we're blowing by the 159 million.
Right.
But we're falling well below the 74.
So when they voted yes or no, they voted on two things, the total of the project, how much they were gonna.
I
pay.
understand that, but the real impact is the second point, isn't it?
They're getting,
Right?
the mayor's gonna have to
You're
get-
getting, listen, it's this simple. Do you want, do you want more building for less money, guys?
We don't know.
We're guessing at
That's
this,
what-
Mario. We're guessing at this. That's why we need a legal
Maybe,
opinion.
No, I understand. I understand. You're
We're
a
just
goddamn
guessing.
lawyer. Why don't you tell us?
Huh? Yeah, I'm not a lawyer.
I know you're not your brother.
He only plays one.
That's my brother.
He plays with-
I know your brother.
That's my other brother.
But the referendum question should read really simple. Do you want more of a building for less money? And, because that's what it amounts to.
They have to, she has to get their bond counsel to
So.
really
you said
delve
we
into
would
that.
have-
We just,
If they approve, but they approve up to 150.
159, that's it.
You're a lawyer.
Both numbers were on the
Yeah, you're a
ballot,
lawyer.
the total and
Father's the city
the
attorney.
split at the time.
No, I'm defending him because I don't think there,
know.
I don't, unless there's precedent in the state on how to interpret that up and down
Correct,
as two
correct,
components of a question.
Right.
I don't know that there's a real.
That's right. It can be argued either way.
We'll have to ask,
But he can tell us.
Maybe Michelle can talk to the state's attorney.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, that.
For myself.
Okay, so 11 o'clock, who's gonna be there? Sue L, myself.
Paul, Carrie,
I'm going.
Armand has to go to work.
I can come if numbers help.
I think numbers will work against us in this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Then I
you
won't
can get
go.
a bit
Friendly
Okay.
people.
Yeah, it's just have a nice discussion.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, we have a
That's
serious
a good
problem
point, Mr.
and we
Kisco.
need to make some serious decisions.
Yeah.
It's not a friendly discussion.
What do we
have a
need
serious
from these
problem.
guys?
Excuse me?
What do we need from these guys? That, pretty much? Something like that?
Well, we need that and then probably the value management list that shows the hard
Right.
decisions.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's the public relations part that has to be part of this conversation, okay?
And in the end, we'll get this out to bid if nothing changes.
It'll get done.
We'll
Listen,
get what we
Yeah,
get.
yeah,
We'll end up with still a great.
it's
school.
still gonna
it
be
is.
gorgeous.
It's gonna be award winning, right? Kemp?
Yes, it will be.
Hey,
I can tell.
listen, we got an award winning field. I won a big award. It's up to you, Kemp.
Well, I can tell our two councils over there.
What?
Yeah, not as
Commissioner
many.
said we need
No,
Torrington
we
to
don't
start
have-
stepping up.
Yeah, oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Torrington has to start stepping up for the kids.
Like I mentioned.
Okay, next item. O and G, we met with
That was good.
Dave, Beth, myself, and Andrew Marchand. Just let you know, on December 16th, at the high school, there's gonna be classes that will have O and G there in an introduction to construction opportunities, looking at that. So the kids will be going through the media center, and O and G will be there with a roundtable discussion. That's gonna be on December 16th. In February, what the item will be, it will be back office administration, looking at safety, marketing, human resources, and accounting. So there are other jobs out there that people can have instead of just construction. In April, it's Women in Construction Day. That's the next one in April. In May is National Safety Week, so we're trying to divide something to do with that, and maybe have kids go to one of the plants and so forth during May, which is, weather is better. And then again, in October next year, we're gonna have again, Women in Construction. So we've outlined the items, December, February, April, and May. So we're working on that. We know that December 16th is gonna be introduction to construction with a panel. What's the opportunities there? So we're still working on it, and it's good doing that. Next item is just one bill you have for Construction Solutions, $19,534.40. Can I have a motion to approve? John, second?
I'll say.
Armand? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Just let you know, again, the city has been very accommodating with us. I deliver the bill to them Friday morning, and then a week from Friday, they have the check. So they've been very accommodating. It costs me, once a cheesecake, once that, but that's okay. That's okay. So it's good. Comments for the good of the order. Amy,
No, just let us know if you need attendance from SLAM
okay,
at that Monday meeting.
No, one thing in our favor is Eleanor just got reelected.
That's true.
yes, that's true.
Switching
4 years
politically
to worry about
unpopular
it.
Yeah,
things is,
yeah.
now's the time to do it.
Casey, anything?
Nothing.
Dr. McKenna?
The good doctor.
Okay.
We're making progress.
Good luck Monday.
Sue,
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
you said?
I'm all set.
You said?
Let's see that.
Okay, I'm not set, okay?
Go ahead.
Every, just so you know, there, it's Hanukkah,
Yeah.
okay? And my uncles, when we were young, always gave us, all the kids, something, and it was always a silver dollar. So I'm gonna give you a chocolate silver dollar. Too cheap.
All right. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's cool.
Amy Christmas, you're missing out.
Yeah. You'll have to take two.
Take two.
Bring your back one.
Yeah, bring it back.
He
Bring her
deserves
back
it.
one. She does. It's been hard work.
Yes, for
Thank you.
sure. Wow. Thank you,
And
Ed.
of course, it's JFK.
Paul, do you think we should have, Paul,
Yeah.
do you think we should have Michelle there?
Thank you.
Or would that be viewed as contentious?
Would that be viewed as well?
I mean, yeah, would that cause a little?
Yes, Hanukkah, yes.
Personally, we need decisions made and made quickly.
Exactly.
And I don't,
I'll just keep.
you know me, I don't care about those niceties.
I don't mean that either.
We're all adults here. We got a big problem. and we
Sue,
need- we
anything,
need to move
comments on
fast.
the order?
Thank
So, yeah,
you
she
to
belongs-
Slam
she needs
and
to be there,
OMG,
in
And
my
thank you
opinion.
to Ed and Mario for pulling all this together, because it has not been easy, and all the folks who met on Tuesday for some really tough
It's a
decisions.
good lunch.
Yeah.
It was late, but it was good.
Yeah. John?
Good meeting. I agree with you about moving to you with a very strange meeting. I found myself agreeing with what Paul was saying.
Whoa, whoa, oh, that's the second. Fiona agreed with you too, Paul.
Something, I don't know.
I don't know.
Something's in the air.
Maybe it's because you're retired,
Let
that's
me see,
why.
that's right. Every day is Saturday. I'm retired.
Okay.
I came out-
Kathy, anything?
Thank you.
Ellen?
I'm making notes of all the agreements.
Okay.
In a
Fiona?
log.
Just quickly, I do think if possible, someone from ONG and someone from SLAM should be at this meeting because I think they have a lot more intuition as far as the background of all of these
This is getting to
numbers.
be large.
Yeah.
But I also feel that I'm not a political person, but I think you should have a mix of Republican and Democrats at this meeting.
No, well, I don't think that's so, well. I'm
Well,
sorry, I didn't mean
just
to cut
looking
you off.
around the
Yeah.
table here, it's split, and I think it would be important that this should not be a political issue.
Absolutely
This
not.
should be just what's best for Torrington,
Yeah.
and
It's not, it's a school and we need money to finish it, period. You know,
Right.
no. I will not come at it as in any way, shape or form, you know.
No, we're not saying
give
that.
a
I think
I'm not
we're
saying you, I'm
saying it
saying I don't want it to be perceived that way.
Perceived
Okay.
from,
Well,
Robin,
Your
anything?
labels on.
All set, thank you.
Allison?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, have a motion to, next meeting.
We got Amy on the
Amy
screen.
online.
what about Amy?
Amy.
Oh, Amy.
Is Pat on?
Amy, anything?
Happy Hanukkah.
Okay.
Oh, don't worry, Ed, we're okay back there.
Anything, guys, back there?
No, I really commend you, because these are really tough discussions and decisions and your perseverance and stuff in this now. Anyway.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Anybody just-
Anybody else there? No?
Thanks for the silver dollar.
Yeah, yeah.
Ed, before everybody adjourns, can I just
Yeah.
ask one more time?
Yeah.
Who will be in attendance? Because I know.
All right, this is what we got.
Yeah.
As of right now, we got myself and Ed.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Fiona.
Yeah.
Sue, at least one Sue. I don't know, I'm not keeping track how many that is, but Carrie, who's on the screen, maybe still. I'm gonna ask Michelle if she's available, if you think I should. And then it sounds like we want David there and maybe who, Amy?
If you want me there, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, here?
Casey,
Okay.
whichever might make her feel better. or make everybody there. Sometimes I can be a little.
No,
Abrasive.
no.
No, I don't think our relationship is.
Get on an airplane for Chicago during that meeting.
I don't mind going.
But whoever Fiona thinks. And then Amy, hopefully, and what does Amy think?
So David,
I can be there.
Okay, 11 o'clock.
Dave and Amy, what's that, Paul? That's about 10,
Yeah, I know.
isn't it?
I mean, I think John, because John's vice
John.
chair of the board,
Yeah, so John
I think he
goes.
should be there.
All right, John, I'm going, so that's,
If you
it's
want
about
to
10.
be.
That's 11.
Amy and
It's
Dave
11.
Amy and Dave will be able to fully explain how we got. there.
That's really the important information that needs to be relayed.
And Gary, if you need me to bring lunch, just let me know, I'll order it now.
No kidding.
I know, so let them tell you. Maybe Marcel's pizza. Give that to us.
Yeah, times are tough over there.
Donate it to the meeting.
My son just had a baby.
Oh.
Let me talk after.
What's that?
Well, just trying to
Blame girl.
trying to pare this down. That's
All right, let's pare it down. Let's
Yeah.
pare it down.
Yeah.
Carrie's already volunteered to not go.
Okay.
Well,
Carrie, are you there still?
Well, you know you need to have Amy and Dave.
I don't know. She's probably at her daughter's dance recital or whatever it is.
Cello.
Cello.
Cello,
Where Ellen
right.
just left too, so.
Yeah.
one person, just one person, my suggestion from the board should be you, the chair, or your vice chair, one or the other, but not both.
Yeah, I would have them both. So I don't.
They're trying to limit
But
the
it works well
They're
together.
trying-
They're very close. They can tell me I'm wrong.
All right.
What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah,
I know her.
I know that.
Armin, you're gonna be there, right?
What? No, he's gotta work.
Yes, I gotta work. I
Oh,
can't get out of work.
So Paul, Ed, Fiona, John, we got Dave and Amy.
Sue.
Oh, yeah, I forgot me.
Betsy.
You got Mario, Ed, Paul, Dave, Flan, I'm sorry, you got Dave, you got.
Yeah.
You got Ian.
Or we
Exactly.
decide that maybe it's more effective to have O and G,
Yeah.
SLAM, and building committee chairs.
Right.
Make the original discussion.
And.
I definitely want Paul there, though.
Yeah.
I want a city council
I'll be back.
person there. I want a city
That's
council
my role.
person there to
Yeah,
show
fine,
that
fine.
the city council person understands the dilemma.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I'll be there.
And has been here at our meeting, so really
Yeah.
has a good understanding.
You want to do it that way? I mean,
That might be the best way to do it.
so that takes it then from Paul, Ed, Mario, Dave,
It's 5 people.
Amy. Who said that?
Oh,
Kemp.
Or we can, if Kemp wants to go instead of me, I mean, I don't want to.
No,
overload the
that's
room.
fine.
That's
6
fine.
people's fine.
Yeah, you want Sue?
She's gonna have, oh,
So, yeah.
Sue,
So 7.
7. What the hell? All we did then was cut Fiona and John. Sorry, John.
I mean, I don't mind going. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to look at the dynamic of
Yeah.
that, of all these
All right,
people.
you want to do that then?
I think this
whatever
meeting should
people
be
think.
the nuts and bolts of
And
kind
she's
of
gonna
why,
have Dan Farley.
where it's coming from.
What's he do?
He's the treasurer.
Treasurer. I thought he was gonna supply with
Good one.
Treasurer.
So herself and Dan, and she asked, she could get the bond council on the phone if she needs to.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, the other thing, we could go and just not,
participate.
but I just don't want her to feel ganged up on. by-
No, exactly, that's exactly what I'm trying to pare it
Well,
down.
when I gave her the list, and that was only some of us, she says, interesting list of attendees.
Well, it's an interesting problem.
It is. All right, let's go with the smaller version if you guys are okay with that, John.
Just
I don't want
Change your
you-
mind, let me know, but I'm fine with it.
Don't
Okay.
remember, this can't drag on, but the further out we go with the response,
Yeah.
the less flexibility there
correct.
is. They're moving forward with drawings.
All right, so what do we do?
I think.
What do we do about the obvious question, which I don't agree with, is that this is gonna require a referendum?
Well, they're gonna have
We gotta
to.
have to
Well,
go
that's-
get
that's-
that.
that- that's on-
Bond council.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's on them.
But that's something we'll get from the city,
Yeah, right.
okay? That's a process question, the city,
Yeah.
we want them to answer that.
Yeah.
We want to present the problem
Yeah.
as it now exists and the solutions that have to be proposed, okay? The decisions that have to be made. That's what I would like to see at 11 a.m. on Monday. Right?
You just can't say whether it's not, you can't let anybody think that this isn't gonna go forward. We're going forward, we'll get it
Yeah.
built, but
Right.
we're gonna build with what we've taken out. And it's not gonna destroy the project, but
Well, you're
City
gonna have
Hall,
to bus
her
kids
office,
to a
her
different
little
school
conference
for
area.
free, isn't it?
Third floor.
No, right, and
You
that's,
know, or-
and
or
again,
you're-
that has a public relations, a politician's, impact.
Mhm.
They're not gonna wanna tell the people, you're spending this much money and my kid, blah, 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 it's gotta get on the bus in a very sports-oriented town.
Mhm.
Those become politically weighted considerations,
Well, we're glad
which we use in
that
our favor.
Right.
everybody knows what we're up against.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't gonna go away without us telling everybody.
Yeah, but
Okay, we don't know when the next meeting is, so we'll let you know. Could I just have a motion to adjourn at
6:42.
6:42? Okay.
Kisco and Mr. Hughes,
you know,
all in favor?